tonight. Northern Saskatchewan boarding school survivors launch a proposed class action lawsuit against the provincial and federal governments. Also, barbs continue to fly between members of Regina City Council. Now the mayor is striking back. Plus, generating interest on TikTok, how some Saskatchewan musicians are using the platform to push for success.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, January 24th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. Survivors of the Île-à-Crosse residential school are proposing what they're calling a historic class action lawsuit against the federal and provincial governments to seek recognition and justice. Pratush Dayal has the details.
6 survivors and intergenerational survivors of the Île-à-Crosse residential school are seeking compensation for the harm and abuse they suffered from the residential school. Île-à-Crosse, the second oldest community in Western Canada, will turn 250 years old in 2026. The residential school operated in the community about 460 kilometers north of Saskatoon from the 1860s to the 1970s. It has affected as many as 7 generations there. Métis Nation Saskatchewan is supporting the proposed class action. It says the communities need reparation.
And you see the harm. You see the suicides. You see the abuse of drugs and alcohol. You see beautiful, beautiful communities, but you see the loss of language, the loss of culture, the grieving for the land. That was as a result of this residential school that has not been acknowledged.
This isn't the first time Île-à-Crosse has asked for acknowledgement. A lawsuit was filed 15 years ago, but members say justice is yet to be served. In the last year itself, the community has lost 20 survivors who had hoped for compensation. Louis Gardiner is one of the remaining survivors and the plaintiff. Starting at age 5, he attended the school until 1969. He says they were punished with a strap if they spoke their own language. He even ran away once, only to be sent back.
The agenda was the same, take the culture out of the child. That I had a number I had to use. I couldn't use my name. So if I was called out by my number, and if I wasn't there, then discipline.
Dwayne Favel is the mayor of Île-à-Crosse and is also a day school survivor. He says Métis people are the only Indigenous group in the country who have yet to settle residential school system issue.
If we're going to, change direction, in our communities and bring health and wellness, like I said, back into our communities, we need this recognition. We need the federal government and the provincial government to say yes. This was cultural genocide, within these Métis communities as well.
The provincial government declined any comment as the matter is before the courts, but the Métis Nation Saskatchewan wants the province to be at the table to avoid any further delay. Pratush Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Saskatoon Tribal Council Chief Mark Arcand says he's frustrated with criticism that has surfaced surrounding the Emergency Wellness Centre in Fairhaven. The Wellness Centre moved to the neighbourhood 2 months ago from downtown. Some residents were worried that crime would go up. Then, a nearby pastor was cited in recent news reports claiming a rise in vandalism. But Arcand says police stats show crime in the Fairhaven area has actually dropped or remained steady since the centre opened. He says he will not accept people spreading rumors and lies about the centre.
I'm not going to sit and fight about helping people in our city. And I'll say these kinds of things. When I talk about support for the Emergency Wellness Centre, at Christmas time we put out a call for Christmas presents for our families. 400 plus Christmas presents donated from this city to support the EWC. That is amazing for people that want to help people on the humanity side.
Arcand says the Wellness Centre's 106 beds have been at capacity since it opened, and there are hundreds of people on the waiting list. He says the majority of Fairhaven residents have been welcoming. A rift on Regina City Council appears to be getting bigger. It started last year when 2 members of council tried to force homelessness money onto the budget, but that didn't happen. As Alexander Kwan reports, now the mayor is striking back.
Regina City Council will hold its first meeting of the year on Wednesday, and the sparks that flew during last year's debate on the city's budget are set to continue. That's because Mayor Sandra Masters will introduce a notice of motion asking council to reconsider its appointment of Councillor Dan LeBlanc to the Board of Directors of Community and Social Impact Regina. The organization is meant to coordinate and support the well-being, health, and safety of residents in the city. Masters won't say what's behind the move.
I sit in a position as being the voice of council, and so I don't want to get out in front of them because that vote hasn't happened yet. So we'll wait and see how that goes tomorrow.
But for the man who is the target of the motion, the reason seems clear.
Something of an attempt to retaliate.
LeBlanc, who is also a lawyer, represented Councillor Andrew Stevens as he took the city manager to court in an attempt to get a motion to end homelessness in last year's budget. While that lawsuit failed, the animosity has remained.
The debate in December genuinely has revealed a rift in council. I don't think it caused it, but it revealed it. And I would call that dividing line of those who want to talk about standing with vulnerable neighbors and those who actually are going to do it.
LeBlanc says he's not sure how the vote on reconsidering his appointment will go, but he warns that political games based off of disagreements will not be productive for anyone.
And if we set this sort of precedent of we, in part, allow the mayor to handpick who will be on these committees and who will not.
LeBlanc says he's concerned about how things are transpiring because he says if he's on the chopping block now, he wonders who could be next. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
The economy is the #1 topic at the Liberal Cabinet retreat in Hamilton, Ontario. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his ministers were briefed by experts today.
We can expect the economy to slow significantly. We can expect that the unemployment rate will rise, both here in Canada and in other jurisdictions like the US, Europe, the UK. Whether or not we'll have a hard landing is something that no one really knows.
The government has to balance demands of tens of billions of dollars in new funding against the prospect of a looming recession and reduced revenue. In particular, there are demands for more money for health funding, pharmacare, and to respond to the massive clean tech tax incentives in the United States to keep Canada competitive. At the same time, Ottawa is still trying to rein in galloping inflation with another interest rate hike expected tomorrow. Ticketmaster was in the hot seat today in Washington. A U.S. Senate committee was grilling the ticket giant after a major fiasco involving Taylor Swift concert tickets last fall. It's investigating whether the company holds too much power over sales in the entertainment market. Cameron McIntosh has the details.
Unable to just shake it off, the anger over Ticketmaster's botched sale for Taylor Swift's next tour
just say no to Ticketmaster
had Swifties and other music fans long frustrated with the ticket seller outside the U.S. Capitol.
I paid more for fees than I did for a single ticket. So I was like, no, something's wrong. Something has to change.
This hearing of the Senate Judiciary Committee will come to order.
Inside, the CFO of Ticketmaster parent Live Nation apologized for the Swift rollout.
We were then hit with 3 times the amount of bot traffic that we'd ever experienced.
Explaining the 3.5 billion Swift ticket requests was unprecedented, as were cyber attacks from ticket scalping bots bogging the website down. While some fans that did get through saw prices over $4,000 due to a pricing system that goes up with demand.
This is what led to a terrible consumer experience, which we deeply regret. We apologize to the fans.
While Swift is the catalyst, at the heart of the hearings is whether Ticketmaster and its estimated 70% market share is just too big and its fees justified, particularly when its parent also owns venues and produces tours, which critics say further consolidates control.
The competitors that are out there aren't able to even compete when it comes to the ticketing.
Among those testifying, artists who say they've lost control.
We have absolutely zero say or visibility in how much these fees will be. We find out the same way as everyone else by logging on to Ticketmaster.
Ticketmaster, meanwhile, is calling on the federal government to help it combat electronic ticket scalping,
all while it's the subject of a Department of Justice antitrust investigation looking into whether the ticket seller is abusing its market position. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Washington.
With 1 billion users, TikTok has rapidly become one of the most important social media players in the game. It may not suit every musician trying to promote their music, but for some, it can be a passion. Laura Sharpaletti has that story.
I love it. I love your music, for real.
Keep watching, but I just wanted to say hi because I kind of missed you a little bit.
This is a fan of Regina musician Brian Mendoza. Fans follow the pop R&B artist on his TikTok account, which has generated more than 400,000 followers in about 2 years.
It helps them get to know me a little bit. And then let's say, oh, it's such a short clip. It's like, I want to see more of this person, right? I want to see more. And so they go and stumble upon my other social medias, and they kind of just bounces out. It's not over yet.
Mendoza says TikTok helps him because it funnels users to his YouTube account where he makes money and allows some of his videos to go viral. It also allows him to interact with his fans.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you all for the follow. But I feel like we gotta sing a little something.
While TikTok is a popular platform, it takes a lot of work.
Our word of advice for artists is if they're comfortable going on TikTok and that's something that feels authentic to them and that they can keep up on a consistent basis as well, it's definitely worth pursuing. There's lots of discovery options for fans through TikTok, and as you know, that can lead to other things like higher streams and concert attendance and just a bigger fan base in general.
Kelly says artists who use TikTok need to be prepared for both the positive and negative outcomes, including hurtful comments and harsh criticism. And all that work does not mean profit in Canada.
Obviously, when you're talking about music usages, often it's in like 15-second or 30-second little clips. So accordingly, the royalties are really, really low.
Still, it's not about money for Neudorf-based musician Anna Marie. She has 15,000 followers on TikTok and says her goal is to inspire and uplift her fans.
I've gotten so many comments over the last little while from people saying, oh my gosh, I just love how positive and uplifting your content is. And people are saying that I'm a little ray of sunshine on social media.
Music sharing platforms will ebb and flow and come and go. So many Saskatchewan musicians say their focus on the fans and the quality of their content is what matters most. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
A cute, squirrely sight on a sunny day. What more can we ask for in Regina in winter? The sun was a pleasant surprise this morning, but it looks like we are going to say goodbye to it for a couple more days as some snow moves in. But we've still got a couple days of warm weather left, though. Ethan will bring you more details in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. The city known as China's North Pole has hit its coldest temperature since records began. It dipped down to a brisk minus 53 on the weekend, 1 degree colder than the old mark set in 1969. It didn't stop municipal workers from doing their jobs, of course. And here's a real test of how cold it was. A local TV reporter, of course, cracked an egg on an iron shovel, and the yolk turned white in seconds.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. 22 model clear out is on now.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now with perspective like that. I feel like I cannot complain about anything you're about to say.
Yeah, that cold at the end of the week is going to feel nothing like that, and I'm pretty glad about it. But we have seen some colder temperatures in northeastern sections of the province, and there is still a bit of a temperature divide through the province at this time. But, you know, minus 21 in Collins Bay, that's actually around normal for this time of year. You've just been spoiled by all this very nice warm weather that we've been seeing. And there is a bit of a divide in south and central Saskatchewan. You can still see see that there's this warm front draped on this low pressure system that's bringing some very warm temperatures near the freezing mark along the western side of the province. And as you go eastward from there, we are looking at some colder temperatures, over a 15-degree temperature divide right now between Yorkton and Leader at the moment. Now, a bit of a strange kind of temperature pattern over the next 24 to 48 hours here. Overnight tonight, we're actually going to see temperatures warm up, especially in the western sections of south and central Saskatchewan as that warm front moves its way eastward. Eastern Saskatchewan, I still think you'll be a little on the cool side. You won't be seeing too much of a warm up tonight. Lows around -15. All of us will see a bit of a cool down heading through the day tomorrow, and then things really warm up as we head through the day on Thursday as we see another low pressure system move in. Now, there is a low right now that, as I showed you a couple of minutes ago, that warm front is attached to, that's bringing a little bit of snowfall through western sections of the province, increasing cloud cover now through a large section, and I think we're going to see kind of what we saw last night in the province with that snow moving from northwest to southeast, and it's going to be affecting mostly south and central Saskatchewan. I think the north will mostly be spared from this, but it's not going to be too much snow. Tomorrow we'll see mostly cloudy conditions through the province, and here's that system on Thursday, and it's quite a messy one. On the warm sector, we're looking for some rain and possibly some ice pellets and some freezing rain, and on the back side of it we have some snowfall, which will move through most eastern sections of the province before it is out of our hair heading through Thursday night and into early Friday morning. I think we'll have a better idea of snowfall and rainfall amounts on that tomorrow, but just for these next 18 hours or so here, we're not really looking at much snowfall from this system moving through tonight. Again, kind of be like we saw last night, 1 or 2 centimeters here and there, and same for the north of the province. Mostly flurries for the Churchill region, I think. In the far north, you've had a bit of snow today, but I think that's mostly going to be dissipating through the night tonight. Winds going to be a little bit breezy, especially in the south of the province tomorrow. And then as that system moves in on Thursday, they are really going to kick into high gear. So blowing snow likely going to be an issue. Gusts, especially in west central Saskatchewan, getting into the 60 to 70 kilometer an hour range. But the system moves fast, so the winds will be out of there by the time we get to Friday. Visibility tonight with a little bit of snow again at times could drop here and there. So if you have plans to drive this evening or early tomorrow morning, again, highway hotline is probably going to be a good idea. Taking a look at the next 7 days in Regina, I think a mostly cloudy day tomorrow, maybe some peaks of sun here and there. And then again, not a whole lot from the system moving in on Thursday, at least not at this point. A little bit of breaks of sun on Friday before we do drop down into the -20s heading into the weekend and the beginning of next week. And a similar picture for Saskatoon. I think most of your precipitation on Thursday is going to be rain before we get a little bit of ice pellets and, -20, -21. It's cold, Sam, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as we saw like in December.
But with the cold comes the sunshine, right?
And that's the best part.
We could use the sunshine for sure.
We sure could.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
These kids in Saskatoon are getting ready for Winterruption Outdoor. The annual weekend of live shows and other fun takes place in Saskatchewan's 2 biggest cities. And in Saskatoon, a teepee was raised today that will be part of the outdoor part of the festival. There will be a second teepee as well, one for storytelling, one is for the community, and it'll include warm tea and bannock. You can find more details at winterruptionsk.ca. We'll be back after the break. CBC News has new information about a man who was part of a group that tried to get from Manitoba to the U.S. last year. A family from India froze to death in their border crossing attempt. It's now part of an investigation involving 3 countries. As Karen Pauls reports, charges related to alleged human smuggling have been laid in the U.S. and India, but not yet in Canada.
The Patel family didn't survive walking across this snowy Manitoba field into the United States, but 7 other people in their group did. Police in 3 countries are still trying to figure out how they got there.
It's a complex investigation. Be assured we're working on it.
One of the men who made it across is now facing forgery charges in India, accused by police of using fraudulent and bogus documents to get an admission to Loyalist College in southern Ontario. Based on that, police say he got a student visa and went to Canada with the intention of entering illegally into the United States. No one from Loyalist College would do an interview, but a spokesman sent a statement saying the individual was never registered as a student at Loyalist College, however did submit an application. Documents related to this application were shared with the RCMP, and the college is cooperating fully with the investigation.
I can confirm that we have been talking with Gujarat Police through our liaison officer, and they did request us for some documents from Loyalist College, and we have received those documents and shared them.
But Manitoba RCMP won't say if they've asked other Canadian schools for documents involving other people in the group.
It's all, part of the bigger investigation.
It's ripe for fraud.
This immigration lawyer is not surprised to hear Canada's student visa process is being allegedly used by international human smugglers.
It undermines the integrity of the whole program and the whole system, but no one wants to take the steps necessary to prevent it.
Yeah, she reviewed it.
Oh, good.
This lawyer says one of the problems is different cultural norms, standards, and expectations.
Sometimes we get an applicant who says to us, give us a document checklist and we will just get you whatever documents that you need. And we have to go back to them and say, look, this is Canada, we need genuine documents.
Police in India say they are still investigating, waiting for information from the RCMP, the Canadian Embassy, and Canadian universities. As for the man connected with Loyalist College, U.S. law enforcement authorities say he was deported, but they won't say where he was sent. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A massive corporate merger in Canada has cleared another legal challenge. Today, the Federal Court of Appeal dismissed an effort by the Competition Bureau to block the merger of Rogers and Shaw. The $20 billion amalgamation of the telecom giants has been in the works for 2 years. The Competition Bureau was challenging a ruling by Canada's Competition Tribunal that said the merger would not lessen the competition in the telecom industry. However, the Bureau was appealing based on legal procedural grounds, claiming that rather than claiming the ruling itself was actually wrong. The merger is set to be completed by the end of this month. And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
And it is going to warm up tonight, I think, in Regina and southern Saskatchewan. Sam, we're going to be at -6 by the time we hit 8 a.m. tomorrow. Maybe some lingering flurries. Those northwest winds going to start to pick up as we head toward the afternoon, just a little bit, probably between 30 and 40 by the afternoon. A nice -5. I think we should see mostly cloudy skies, maybe some pokes of sun here and there. Saskatoon, probably a little bit sunnier, -7 by the time we hit the morning tomorrow. And by the time we hit the noon hour, sun going to continue to come out. Clouds going to continue to clear around -5. Want to show you some serenity in a photo now. This comes to us from Kelly. This is just south of Creighton on the Sturgeon Weir River, not far from T&D Cabins Camp. I think I know where I'm taking my next vacation, Sam.
Good to know. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you tonight, Year of the Rabbit celebrations are in full swing across China. Some zoos are featuring the real star attraction in the fluff. Dozens of bunnies dressed in festive costumes are hopping into the hearts of visitors. People are encouraged to interact, feed them, and play with them. One wildlife park has more than 300 different species, along with rabbit statues and workshops about zodiac culture. The Year of the Rabbit started Saturday and is part of the 12-year cycle of animals that appear in the Chinese zodiac. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Glenn and Ethan will be back with more tonight at 11. Thank you for watching and have a great night.